How much is the starting cost for 500 layer birds? You are most welcome to my YouTube laboratory and welcome to Daudi Alaba Farm, where we practically share our experience about farming. Today we are going to break to you how much it costs to start 500 layer farming. The costs depends on the factors like the season and your location. Note that the values said are average estimates. Let us be a little bit faster when we are going through the list of items that you need to start the 500 layer birds. Number one on the list is the chicks. You need 500 day-old chicks. Each of them will cost you 5,000 in average, and then it will be total of 2,500,000 Ugandan shillings. Number two on the list is the wood saving. Wood saving is what we call the litter, the bedding for the chicken. Because here what we are considering is we are going to be using a deep litter system. So you need 40 bags of the wood saving. Each of them will cost you 1,000 Ugandan shillings according to my estimate, and then you will use total of 40,000 Ugandan shillings. So the third thing on the list is the brooder paper. You will need 2 by 3 meters brooder room. This is where you are going to be keeping the baby chicks. I think I said in one of the video about how to brood chicks. So each of the brooder paper costs 6,000. When you need 4 of them, it will cost you 24,000 Ugandan shillings. The fourth thing on the list is the charcoal, which actually we call the coal, which is used to heat the room. Because those chicks, they don't have their mother, and the brooder becomes their mother. Without heating source, it will be very terrible way of doing it. So you need the heat source, which is coming from the coal or charcoal. You need 7 bags, which each of them will cost 50,000 Ugandan shillings, and in total, it will be 350,000 Ugandan shillings. The next thing is the stoves. Stoves are the things that you are going to be putting charcoal in so that you heat the room using it. You need 4 stoves in the brooder room, which will cost you 10,000 each of them, in total 40,000 Ugandan shillings. The sixth thing on the list are the chick drinkers. Chick drinkers, actually, it is not very expensive. You need 10 of them for the 500 birds. Each of them will cost you 6,000 Ugandan shillings in total, which will be 60,000 Ugandan shillings. And the other one is the chick feeders. Chick feeders, you can have a shortcut of using the cardboard because it doesn't take long. You can use them for about 1.5 or 2 weeks, and then after that you introduce the bigger feeders. And then for chick feeders, if you are to buy them, you need 20 of them so that the room is properly covered with the feed, and then each of them will cost you 500 Ugandan shillings. You'll need total of 10,000 Ugandan shillings. And the next thing on the list is adult drinkers. Drinkers of the 2 types. There is manual drinker and there is also automatic drinker. And considering the type of drinker that you are going to be using, and on my list, what I've put is the manual drinkers. You need 10 of them in the room, and each of them costs 18,000 Ugandan shillings. And the total will be 180,000 Ugandan shillings. And for the case you are going to use automatic drinkers, for the reference, each of them may cost you about 55,000 Ugandan shillings. So if you can afford that one, it is very okay. And for the case you are unable to buy the drinkers at the beginning, you can subscribe to use the chick drinkers up to 6 or the 7th week. Because for me personally, I use chick drinkers up to 23rd week when I was unable to afford the bigger drinkers. So I used them up to that far, and still my results about the farm were also perfect, though the work was a little bit much. So we sacrificed to do much work than compromising on the water that they are supposed to be taking. And the next thing is the feeders, that is adult feeders. It can also be of 2 types. There are also wooden troughs, which can be cheaper, and what I've put on my list are the plastic feeders. These plastic feeders, you need 25 of them. Each of them will cost you 20,000 Ugandan shillings, and in total you will need 500,000 Ugandan shillings. For the case you decide to use the wooden troughs, it will cost you each of them 6,000 to 7,000 Ugandan shillings, depends on where you are getting them from. So if you can do your calculation according to your budget. So in total, those necessities will cost you 3,704,000 Ugandan shillings. And in case you are watching me from somewhere else or in another country, I have tried to convert this one into USD, which is international currency, and I'm using the rate 1 USD to represent 3,715 Ugandan shillings. So if you are watching me from other countries, you can convert this one to USD or into your local currency. So it will be total of 997 USD. So that is part one of the budget. And then part two is actually the feed. This is one of the necessity. This is one of the sensitive part that you are supposed to consider by all means before you actually think of other things, those first things. So feed is very, very important in poultry farming, because if you compromise with it, it will lead you to a loss of money and a loss of time. So you don't need to go through challenges concerning feed. Let us go through on the types of feed that we shall be feeding. And also it depends on the type that you want to use to feed your birds. I use Kafika concentrate. I add maize, which is broken maize, the maize bran, and the limestone to make my complete feed. So what I'm going to be sharing with you is the price that I have already calculated from mixing all of them. And for your reference, if you want to do something like to know exactly how it is, it will depend on where you are going to buy your feed from. So that is what I am getting from Kafika. So it means the first 1 to 7 days of the life of the birds, we use pre-starter. These are the pellets which are directly made from the factory, and they are used to feed the very young chicks, and it is very, very nutritious. So each bag, which will be costing you 100,000 Ugandan shillings, which means 25 kilogram, and in total you'll use 200,000 Ugandan shillings to feed your birds for 7 days. And in the second one is the chick mass. You'll feed the chick mass from the first week to the 10th week, which is approximately 42 days. And on those 42 days, I have got the average that your chicks will be consuming as 35 grams per bird per day. It means in total 42 days, your birds will be eating 735 kilograms of the feed. That is already properly mixed feed. And in calculation of the amount of money, each kilogram of the feed, the properly mixed feed, will cost you 2,700 Ugandan shillings, and for 42 days you will consume 1,984,500 Ugandan shillings, which is approximately 534 USD. That is for the chick mass. And the next stage is the growers mass. This is a period of 11th week to 17th week, and on this period the amount of feed that is consumed by the chicken will keep increasing every single week. The amount will increase. So I've got the average for these 49 days of the growers stage. Each bird will consume 76 grams per bird per day, which means in total you will need 1,862 kilograms of the growers mass, which will cost you 2,000 Ugandan shillings each kilo. And for 49 days, for 49 days and 500 birds, you will need 3,724,000 Ugandan shillings, which is approximately 1,000 USD. And the fourth stage is the layers mass. On the 18th week, you will be probably expecting the first egg. You will be expecting to see an egg. So if you are not seeing the egg on the 18th week, which means there was a problem. But for your clarity, you need to make sure that you follow the instructions properly as given by the company that gives you the feed. So the layers mass will be consumed from 18th week up to 23rd. It can now be up to infinite, but I've just cut it short to 23rd third week, and the rest of the time you will be considering what you have already known. So on that period of time, each bird will consume 100 gram per bird per day, which means for 42 days you'll be consuming 2,100 kilogram of chicken feed. And on this stage, each kilogram of the feed will cost you 1,700 Ugandan shillings, and in total it will cost you 3,570,000 Ugandan shillings, which is approximately 961 USD. That is what is concerned with the feeding, and in total it will cost you 9,278,500 Ugandan shillings, which is approximately 2,500 USD. The prices are decreasing from each stage of the growth because of the concentrations that you'll be putting into the feed. So that is why the prices are reducing, which means from 2,700 Ugandan shillings to 1,700 Ugandan shillings is because of the concentration of the nutrients that you are adding into your feed. Okay, let us move on to the third part of the budget, which is vaccinations. This is also one of the sensitive part in your project. You need to do vaccinations of the birds immediately when they reach up to when they are 18th week, and other things will be following, not necessarily like when it is on 18th week. So the vaccines that you will be able to administer depending on where you are the following. So these are the ones that I normally administer in my country, Uganda. We have the Medex NCD plus IB, which is administered 5 times, and IBD, which is 3 times, fowlpox, which is once, fall typhoid, which is twice, and deworming, which is also twice. And the other thing is not vaccination, but it is very necessity, is the beaking, is cutting of the beaks, which actually to stop the viruses or in the poultry. And for these things, they will cost you some quite amount of money, which actually will be 350,000 Ugandan shillings in my estimate. And depending on also where you are sourcing your vaccines from. What you need to do is to source them from a very proper source, because they are very fragile. They can get bad easily. They are very perishable. So if you're buying them from untrusted sources, you'll buy expired vaccines because they stay in cold places like ice. So you need to be so conscious about where you're buying your vaccines from. And the next thing is the vitamins. Vitamins are very necessary. I was talking about the vaccinations. These vaccinations are administered in very different ways. Others are by spraying, others are by orally by drinking waters or drops on the eyes, others are by injections. All of them needs vitamins. Vitamin helps to give the strength and to take the stress. Before you admit the vaccine, you must give a water which is mixed with vitamins to the birds. And after giving the vaccine, you also need to give the water which is mixed with the vitamins so that the birds are relieved from their stress and they also get energy from it. And that is the next sensitive part of it. What we are going to do next is the labor. I cannot talk so much about the labor, only to tell you how much I'm paying my people. It is because it is yet the beginning. I'm promising to pay a little bit higher on labor, depending on where you are. In my place, it is a little bit very cheap. Like 100,000 Ugandan shillings can make somebody to be happy working with you. So the labor is what you will calculate by yourself. I've estimated it 400,000 Ugandan shillings for 2 people if you are paying them 200,000 each month. And the third thing is the biosecurity. We did not talk about this one in the beginning because we are just talking about the budget. So biosecurity is actually the first thing that we should be talking about. If you are starting a poultry farm, you don't need things like treatment of the birds or doing a lot of things concerning their sicknesses. What you need to consider the biggest is the biosecurity. If you are not so conscious about it, you may lose all the flock and then you run away from the business. So concerning the biosecurity, what we are going to do are some necessities that you need to buy. Number one is the uniforms, which consists of the overall suits that you will buy for the workers. Before every entry into the chicken house, they must put on the uniform. The gumboots, which costs the overall suits will cost you 25,000 each of them. If you buy 3 of them, which will cost 75,000 Ugandan shillings. And the gumboots, you need like 3 of them also. Each of them will cost you 15,000 Ugandan shillings, which will be total of 45,000 Ugandan shillings. The other thing is the light. Light you provide for the birds, especially for the layers when they are still on the brooding period. So when you are brooding your birds, you provide for them light to at least 23 days. You give them light. They eat the day and night. After that, you can remove the light. You only give them the feed on the daytime. And before that, you need the light. If you are buying 2 of them, depending on which type of light you will be using. If you are in a place where there is electricity, you can just connect it directly into your chicken house. But in case you are in a rural setting where there is no electricity and the solar panels are not there, if you are able to afford them, you can buy. But I would advise floodlights. They work better. Floodlights, you can buy 2 of them. They are having sensors which can put them off and on by themselves. If you buy 2 of them, each of them will cost you 100,000 Ugandan shillings, which will be a total of 200,000 Ugandan shillings. And for the miscellaneous, which I call others, you can put like 200,000 Ugandan shillings. That is the cost that you will incur when you are planning to start the poultry farm. The subtotal 1,470,000 Ugandan shillings, which is 396 USD. In summary, everything that you need to start your poultry project will cost you 14,452,500 Ugandan shillings, which is converted as 3,890 USD. Remember, we have never said anything about the cost of constructing the house. In these calculations, we believe you already have land, you have already constructed the chicken house for your birds. In case you have not yet constructed your chicken house, the forthcoming video is about how much it will cost you to construct a chicken coop for 500 layer birds. So in case you insist to know how much it will cost you 4,215,000 Ugandan shillings. And for the general total, it will cost you 18,667,500 Ugandan shillings, which is approximately 5,025 USD. Somebody is saying, oh my God, how can I get all this money just once? You don't need to worry so much about getting this money because you don't need all of it in the beginning. You may have like three-quarter of the money, and then you start the work. You start moving on. You start to do the work. And when you are starting, when you are not having all the money at the hand, make sure that your job or whatever kind of things that you do to get money is very stable. Is not going to leave you on the way when there is a high need for the feed. So make sure that the job or the income source is very, very stable. And for the case you insist, considering the situation where you are or the kind of job that you are doing, you cannot raise all this amount of money. You can start less by this. You can also start it more than this one. So it doesn't require me to make all the videos like for 200 birds, for 300 birds, for 700 birds. No. Well, I'm going to give you a very simple formula that you'll use to calculate the amount of money that you need for whatever number of birds that you want to keep. So the formula is X over 500 times 18,667,500 Ugandan shillings, where X is the number of birds you want to keep. So if you want to keep 200 birds, you put 200 over 500 times 18,667,500 Ugandan shillings, and it will give you how much you need to start 200 layer birds in your budget. So don't worry yourself so much. The Rome was never built in a day, so it took time. So you need to be a little bit consistent in your dreams. Don't let what I've brought here to scare you, because it may appear small for some other people and it may also be too huge for some group of people. So don't be left out in this episode. Thank you so much for watching. My name is David. If you're watching me for the first time, don't forget to subscribe into this channel and click on the notification bell so that you don't miss on the next episode, which is coming about how much it costs you to construct a chicken coop for 500 layer birds. Thank you so much. We love you.